Welcome to Satsang. Satsang is love and beauty. It's a place of peace and tranquility. It is an opportunity to recognize yourself as peace, yourself as freedom, yourself as love, yourself as truth. Not the story of the mind, not the life of concerns and worries and troubles, but the reality of presence. So Satsang is about the reality of presence. It is being together as one, as consciousness that is undivided, one heart, one presence, one seamless presence. It is very important to contemplate and to come to the understanding that what you are above all is this seamless presence. That the reality of your experience, which is the reality of yourself, is the reality of consciousness. Not what thought says you are, not what the bodily sensation, how they appear, not what you recollect or what has been inherited belief systems and tendencies. Rather than all of that, it is the realization that you are peace and happiness, that you are this pure presence. The screen is a vibrant, alive, aware, awake screen of consciousness that has no limitations. Whatever limitations appear, it's very important to recognize these limitations to where they belong. They do not belong to you. The limitations of the world, the limitations of the body, the limitations of the mind do not belong to you. They belong to the world, body, mind. Like a bird is not a fish, does not swim. A tree does not fly. Limitations belong to the world, to the body, and to the mind, but they do not belong to consciousness. They do not belong to awareness. They do not belong to presence. And what you are is not what appears on the screen. You are not a man or a woman, a human being, or a phenomenal event. All these appear to you. The human form appears to you. It appears to you upon your waking state, when you wake up from deep sleep. It arises to you as bodily sensations. It appears to you as perceptions. When you look in the mirror in the morning, this image that appears to you as thoughts, the I thought, the me, this person, me, this woman, me, I need to do this, I need to do that. There is nothing wrong with any of that. but it is not what you truly are. It is very important that you come to the realization of what you truly are. Because as long as you mistake yourself to be an event, to be a man or a woman, to be a mortal being, it is inevitable for you to suffer, to feel the angst of limitation, and to chase after happiness, which is a beautiful chase, because chasing after happiness is chasing after God. I know that the whole thing about seeking and chasing, oh, it is dualistic. It is not dualistic to love God. To want to return to God, to want to realize the wholeness of what you are, is a very, very precious and a venerable interest. It is what I refer to as a love and a passion for truth. Your love and passion for truth is very important. It has to be your primary passion, rather than your passion for your body mind, your interest in your house, in your belonging, in your future, in how you're going to retire, and all of these things. These should be secondary to your passion for truth. Because this living form is an opportunity for you. This waking dream is an opportunity for you. It is given to you. It is gifted to you. Gifted to you from the divine. It's a divine gift for you to come to awakening, to come to know yourself, to come to know your true self. I know that the emotions are very powerful, and they drag us in the concern about me and worries about me, about my feelings, how I'm feeling, and I hope to feel better. I'm not feeling that good today. I mean, I was feeling a little bit better yesterday. I'm concerned now. Something major happened in my life. I lost something really important, and I'm feeling down and sad, and a sense of loss. I know that all these emotions of the human emotions are very, very attractive. They speak really loudly to us. They come into our body. They come into our nervous system, into our breath, into our skin, into our heartbeat. These emotions flow through our entire being, and they fill us with this feeling, this emotion that's very powerful. I know that is the case. I know that. But in spite of that, it is crucial that you contemplate that these emotions are arising as appearances to you. I know they're very loud appearances. They seem to be all there is. But it is not so. They are not all there is. All there is consciousness, awareness, presence, truth, the screen upon which the images occur. So in your contemplation, it's very important that you turn your attention to that perceives, not what is perceived, that perceives. Because it is in turning your attention to that perceives that you are making a major shift in the psyche, a major shift in your life. You are turning your attention from diversity to oneness. Diversity is very confusing, because you start with 2, and then the 2 break into 4, and then the 4 go into 16, and the 16 go into 72. It branches out, exponential growth. And it does not give you the peace and happiness that you are seeking. The peace and happiness is only available through what is referred to as a return home. The recognition that you have never been separate. You have never been a limited consciousness. You have never been contained in a body-mind. In this very moment, as you hear these words, you are not a man or a woman. You are pure presence, awareness, consciousness, hearing these words. The body-mind is a simple instrument. It's a wonderful instrument, but it's an impermanent instrument. So what? What do I care? I am not the instrument. The instrument appears to me as thoughts, perceptions, sensations. We make a big deal of our bodily sensations. Too much of a deal, too much of a big deal about it. We need to lighten up a little bit. Let it be. Give to God what belongs to God. Don't take on these tasks of managing the world, body, mind. It's not your business. Your business is to contemplate the truth and celebrate this contemplation. Celebrate the contemplation of truth. Come home. Come to God. Come to the true self. Come to yourself. Be a light unto yourself. Only that way can you be a light unto others. A friend asked me to say a few words about chronic sadness and melancholy. Sadness and melancholy, feeling blue. You know, sadness, melancholy, loneliness, boredom, all these emotions, they refer to a person. And in psychotherapy, there is a lot of methods, some very effective methods, that help the person to get over the hump of a certain chronic sadness or melancholy or sense of depression or boredom. There are various means and various tools. But in order to deal with the bamboo, it's not enough to cut the bamboo that's sticking off the ground. You have to dig down to the root, and you have to remove the root. Because if you do not remove the root, you will get a temporary relief from having dispelled that negative emotion. But the root cause of the negative emotion, as long as that is not dispelled, it will sprout again, and it will arise again, maybe a few feet away, maybe not in the same spot, maybe not in the same manner, maybe not in the same, due to the same situation, but it will arise again. So you have to go to the root cause of these emotions. You have to be courageous and bold in your investigation, in your contemplation, and not just seek to caress, to anesthetize the negative emotion. It's not enough. You have to go to its root, not just to get a temporary fix. Because if you go for a temporary fix of the negative emotion, you are going to be in the business of temporary fixes. Like an addict, you will need every few weeks, few days to go get another hit in order to feel better, in order to forget about your sorrow. But all negative emotions refer to a person. You, when you as consciousness, you as awareness, you as truth, you as reality, the reality of consciousness. When you mistake yourself to be a man or a woman, immediately there is a sense of angst, and the thorn of mortality is experienced. It's in the space. It's like living in a room that's closed with a scorpion or with a snake. You cannot be tranquil. You cannot be at ease. How can you if you know there is a snake around, a venomous one? As soon as you assume yourself, when I say yourself, I'm always talking about you as consciousness, not you as a woman or a man or a mother or an engineer or a nurse or whatever. No, I'm talking to you as consciousness, consciousness talking to itself. As long as you mistake yourself to be a man or a woman, then you are in the need. You're in the sense of lack. Oh, I need this. I don't have that. He has this and she has that, and I should have done this. And why did my mother do this? And why am I born like that? And all these stories, because you are taking yourself as to be a man, to be a person, to be a woman, to be a mortal form. You have to see through that the man that you take yourself to be is not what you are. Of course, the manhood or the femalehood or the form can be celebrated. It's very beautiful. It's very lovely. Here we are together, celebrating and sharing and talking and looking at each other and being together in love. It's very beautiful. But it's only a tool of celebration and contemplation and rejoicing and love and creativity. But when you take yourself to be that, you are excluding everything else, and you are personalizing consciousness. Consciousness is not personal. Everything is consciousness. Everything that you know, the tree that you perceive, the friend that you call and talk to, you experience the tree, you experience your friend, you experience the meal that you have. You experience all perceptions, all thoughts, all sensations through consciousness, through the reality of consciousness. Consciousness is the reality of all phenomenal perceptions, of all thoughts and feelings and sensations and perceptions, bodily sensations. That is the reality of all these phenomenal events. Nothing is possible. Nothing can be experienced. Not even a feeling of your own body or your own belly or your own sensuality can be experienced without consciousness. It is through consciousness that there is this experience. It is important for you to realize that that's what you are, above all, beyond all, that you are consciousness. And once you realize that, then the body-mind can be celebrated and rejoiced and enjoyed. And yes, why? Because once you realize that you are consciousness, you realize that you are freedom, that you are not limited or bound to any form, by any form. And as soon as you realize that, the whole sense of flag and me dissolve in the openness of presence. And you will find all the barriers, the imagined barriers that created this sense of sadness and melancholy will dissolve because they're not real. Nothing limits consciousness. So the contemplation above all is to contemplate, am I a personal limited consciousness? Is I the consciousness that I know myself to be? Is this consciousness limited, defined and bound to a body-mind form? This contemplation will open a lot of doors, will dissolve a lot of seeming places of unhappiness, will dissolve all the unhappiness in time. Now, having said that, it is important whenever these emotions are arising to be open to them, to be gentle and loving, to be sweet and tender, to be interested, to be available, to feel and experience what's arising as fully as possible, to sort of open up to what is happening, allow it to occupy all the space that it needs, not to set any limits or conditions or judgments. To be as transparent as possible to what is arising. It's the transparency of listening. A wholeness, the wholeness of listening. Everything is relaxed and let's say surrendered. I hesitate about the term surrendered, but let's say relaxed in with what's arising. Try it. And as you're relaxing with what's arising, invite the mind that wants to talk about it, comment about it, argue, that wants to argue about it. Invite the mind to also come on board in the space, in your openness. Invite the mind to also be. Nothing is being blocked out. Don't block anything out. But as you're doing that, contemplate that this relaxation with what's happening has no end to it. It just keeps relaxing, and it keeps opening and opening and opening and opening and opening in all directions. So that the melancholy and the sadness also comes with this opening, expands and with the opening, and opens and goes through the ground, goes through the walls, goes through the ceiling, goes through the entire cosmos. Offer your entire body to it, your entire being to it, and allow the entire space to sort of embrace what's happening. Another way of looking at it is to be very loving with what's arising. Completely loving, without expecting any outcome, without any agenda, without any rewards that you are hoping for. Just to be completely loving. Be love. Just be love. Try it. Try it. Experiment with it. Because there are no enemies to consciousness. There is nothing that is coming at consciousness. Everything is consciousness. Consciousness is wholeness, is complete purity, bliss, peace, and happiness, and freedom, joy, and celebration, and love, and laughter, and happiness. Be watchful of the tendency to personalize what is arising, to perceive everything as happening to a me. There is just a tendency, it's a habit. It's a me habit, it's a thought habit. It says, oh, it's happening to me. And then there is a sense that, oh yeah, it's me, I am here sitting in this chair, and this is happening to me. Watch this tendency and notice that this thought, this me thought, and this me sensation is arising in the openness of presence. Notice the openness of presence that has no borders, has no edges, no me and no you. Just this one lovely ocean of love, of beauty, of tenderness, of sweetness. This one heart beating, one heart. One heart. Thank you for your lovely question. Thank you. Tommy, you're right. Is there anything to be done with being an empath? Miss empath is people who absorb too much of what they see and experience. Okay.
Yes,
People who absorb too much of what they see and experience. You see, Tommy, people do not see and people do not experience. What truly sees, what truly experiences, meaning sensations, perceptions, thoughts, feelings, arise to consciousness, to you as consciousness. It does not arise to people. There are no people. It arises to you, you as consciousness. What you refer to as people is you as consciousness. So right now, this perception arises to you as consciousness. This maybe bodily sensation arises to you as consciousness. Turn your attention to it. What determines that this perception or this sensation is too much? There has to be a thought that arises that says this is too much. But the thought doesn't simply arise saying this is too much. It says this is too much for me. It arises as a thought that imagines a me, a separate me, meaning me as a body-mind, as a personal body-mind. And then the thought says, "Oh well, this is too much for me. I cannot handle that. This experience is too much." I'm just I'm opening up this process. So it's a process of a thought arising, and behind the thought, there is the me, the illusory me, meaning consciousness embodied as consciousness, the belief, because consciousness is not embodied. Consciousness is presence, is pure presence. If you want to say consciousness is embodied, then it's important to say that consciousness is embodied in everything and everyone as one consciousness, but it's also beyond that. It is not enough to perceive the world body mind as consciousness, because consciousness is beyond the world body mind. The world body mind belongs to consciousness, but consciousness does not belong to the world body mind. Anyways, I'll come back to that later. I'm getting off your question. So there is a thought that arises that says this is too much. It's too much to me, for me. It's really important, Tommy, that you examine this me, because you are not in me. You are consciousness. You are complete, total consciousness. You are the openness of being. You see, you are not this what thought says you are, because thought might say, "Oh, you're a man." But this thought that says that you're a man arises to you. It has to be perceived. Something perceives it. Because if that thought, "I am a man," is not perceived, then that thought doesn't even exist. If there is no awareness, there's no consciousness of the thought. What's a thought without consciousness? Nada. So the reality of that thought that says this is too much is consciousness. Although it's the reality of that thought, although consciousness is the reality of that thought, consciousness does not say this is too much. Consciousness doesn't say anything. It's pure bliss, peace, and happiness. So there is nothing to be done with being an empath, meaning absorbing too much of what you see or you experience, because There is no such thing as a you that absorbs too much. That's just a story. And of course, the story is very, or seems very real when you buy into it. When you start believing that this and that is too much for you, then uh, that's what you will perceive. That's what you will experience. But what is so happy? What is so joyful about buying into this idea that this is too much for me?
It is an old pattern, habit.
There is nothing happy about it. What is happy is to contemplate the reality of your experience, and not to blindly buy into the belief that you are a person.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, having said that, there are certain body minds that have a high sense of sensitivity. They might have a high sense of sensitivity to certain sounds or certain smells or certain perceptions. Might have some also some conditioned uh, learned responses. They react to certain sounds. And there are all sorts of therapies that can help in, at the body mind level. I remember my aunt. She had lived through uh, a war, and I remember she was visiting me once many years ago. And whenever we closed the door, you know how the door makes a little sound, like a little boom or a little bang. She would jump and uh, she, she would relive some of the trauma of uh, the war. And the body is sensitive. It picks up, it registers this stuff. And there are various modalities that can help uh, at that level. You do your best with the instrument that you've been, dealt. But above all, in your contemplation, it is important that you contemplate what you truly are. That what you are is not a body mind. So if there are any questions.
I had many, but they all left me. Thank you.
Magdi? Magdi, can you hear me? Magdi, can you hear me? Hello? Anybody hear me? Thumbs up if you hear me.
Yes, Lina. Let me see. I need to unmute your mic, or maybe you can unmute your mic, Lina. Let me see what I can do. One moment.
Lee is trying to get you, but he can't.
Okay, I think I go here. Lina. Okay, Lina, you should be on. I don't hear you.
I'm on, but Lee.
I don't hear you.
You don't? Oh, well, sorry, Lee. I can hear you and you can hear me, but.
Oh, okay, let me see.
Magdi,
Okay, I'm having a problem. I can't hear. Let me see what I can do.
Earth the Magdi.
Let me see, one moment, let me see. Okay, no. One moment, Lina. I'm sorry? But I don't hear her on my headset. Lina, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
You can hear me, but I cannot hear you. Okay, let me see what I can do. You're trying to write something. No, you're too close. Too close. Back it off a little bit.
Lee, yeah.
Something about Lee.
Lee wants
okay.
you.
Okay.
Okay. Lee, can you still hear me? I don't think it's going to do any good.
That's okay. I don't really have an,
an
important question anyway.
Right? Can you get to the chat box and write in the chat box?
Can you do that, Lee?
Yeah.
Okay, well, at least tell him what's going on.
Oh, I'll say my mic is muted.
Oh, Lee wants to talk to me. Okay, let me see what Okay, Lee wants to talk to me. Okay. Okay. Let me see. Do I have... Oh, okay. No, he's... I don't know what's going on. I cannot hear him. He's...
I will try to log back in. Anybody else got a question?
No, I don't have anybody's mic muted. I don't know what is going on. I can hear it appears to be muted on my computer. So, can somebody else try to speak to me? Let me see. Gonzalo?
Can you hear me?
Gonzalo? Oh, I see you speaking, but I cannot hear you.
I can hear you.
Can you hear
me? Oye, Magdi?
No, Tommy, I don't hear you. I don't hear you, Tommy. How did I... Let me see.
I can hear you, Gonzalo.
Okay, I got to volume control. Okay. Okay. Control room. Okay. Let's see. Let me see. Gonzalo. I don't know, Gonzalo. Your mic is not muted. It's unmuted. You see, Tommy, your mic is unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Hello. Can you hear me?
And
Testing. Testing.
Isaac, mic is unmuted.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah, no, I cannot hear anyone. The only way to communicate with me right now is through the chat box. I'm sorry. I can't figure it out. And on my laptop, the volume is on, and muted. Okay, so you hear me, but for some reason I cannot hear you.
Testing. Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So
Well,
it's just Magdi then.
I don't know what to do about that. I'm sorry. Somehow this technology is. But if you can always, yeah, you can always write the question in the chat box, and I will read it out loud. Yes, Tommy, that's a good idea. You know, people could, if they have a question or something they want to share, they could type it in the chat box, and then I will read it out loud and address it.
Can you read that?
Oh, one moment, Lina. Missy, speak to us about dealing with, let me see, with what is. Okay.
Like now.
So, speak to with what is. Okay, so that's a question. Speak to us about dealing with what is. Lina, what do what do you need to do about what is? Just let it be. Just let it be. Why you want to poke into, into what is? I mean, what is, when it's left alone, when it's not approached, not perceived, it's only a problem. What is only a problem when you make it a problem. Okay, so like, let's say that you don't want to, you don't want to lose your car, and somebody steals your car, robs your car. That's what is. Somebody stole your car, and you have no insurance. Okay, somebody stole your car, and you have no insurance. That's what is. Okay, so, okay, so you have an accident and you lose your left arm. So it is thinking. When you're thinking about it, you're thinking about, oh no, this shouldn't happen to me. My life should be like this or like that. When you create these imaginary resistances, these imaginary attachments, yeah, you're going to have a lot of difficulty with what is, because the way things unfold, it's never unfolding according to what you as a person want things to how you want things to unfold. We all know that. Right? We do. So it's just, you take things as they occur. Now, Having said that, it's very difficult to be openly with what is when you are approaching things with a personal agenda. When you are approaching things from the me perspective, you already have a big list of conditions. You already have all sorts of desideratas about how we want your life to be, what kind of, how you want your husband or your wife to be, how you want your house to be, how you want your retirement to be, how you want your grandchildren to be, and all these. What isn't going to listen to your agenda. Consciousness is not going to say, okay, hey, listen, what are your conditions, and what are your conditions, what are your conditions? Then it's going to get everybody's conditions and turn everything to occur just according to your personal conditions. It's not going to occur that way.
Like now. Right.
But the thing is, what are these personal conditions? Why do you have personal conditions? You have personal conditions because you believe yourself to be a person. Because when you don't believe yourself to be a person, you're celebrating what's happening because you're already the freedom, the peace, and the happiness. You're already your awareness, you're the openness, your consciousness. And so you're celebrating. You are celebrating. When you're celebrating, you don't celebrate with a whole set of conditions. You go to a party, right? You go to a party and you're open to whatever happens. Maybe you're going to dance with the most, best dancer in the dance hall, or maybe you're not going to dance with anybody. Maybe you're going to dance alone. Maybe you're going to dance with your girlfriend. Maybe you just got to go and you're not going to like the party and leave. Who knows? You go with your openness. You live with your openness. You live out of the openness. But in order to live out of the openness, it is important for you to realize that you are not a limited body-mind. You are this open presence. You are this beauty, this love, this freedom, and you're celebrating whatever God wishes, meaning whichever way the universe unfolds. It's like the weather. If you want the weather to be between 72 degrees and 74 degrees with 20% humidity, you're going to be doing a lot of traveling, Lina. You're going to spend 2 weeks, 2 weeks in Hawaii, 2 weeks in Bermuda, 2 weeks in Paris, 2 weeks in Shanghai.
Sounds good.
You might enjoy that, but I tell you, you're going to have a hard time with jet lag. You know what I mean? So, dealing with what is, it always comes to recognizing what you truly are. When you recognize that what you truly are is the peace and the happiness, and that there is no peace and happiness in your conditions, in the conditions of the person, because a person is a whole set of conditions. Why? Because a person is a mortal, and because the person is mortal and there is an identification with a mortal entity, the experience is no longer of caring for example, some object, like maybe a pet that you have. No, you believe yourself to be the pet. You believe yourself to be this body mind, and so there is not just caring for the body as a caretaker, as a manager. No, you're experiencing as if you are in danger, that something is happening to you. You see, when you are managing a property, okay, you just, you manage it, you fix whatever issues there are, you get a phone call, I need to repair this, you send the mechanic to repair the plumbing or whatever. But that's, you're managing it, you're not identified with it. But when you are identified with the body, you are it's as if whatever is happening to the body is happening to you.
Yeah.
It's a different relationship. You see? And so there is all sorts of difficulties in your life as a result of that. Because you feel that things are happening to you at a personal level. See? So the body-mind is a phenomenal event, as all phenomenal events. It's changing. It's constantly changing, like the weather. But so what? You are not the body-mind. You are the aware presence. You're the piece, you're the screen, and the images are rising on the screen. Some images are sweet, some images are less sweet. But you know, when you realize that you are the screen, that you are consciousness and not a woman, there is sweeter, it becomes sweeter and sweeter. The images, the experiences become sweeter and sweeter. Because you are not identified. When you are not, that does not mean that you don't care. Not at all. You're acting, you're fully involved in what requires your attention. You know, when their guests are coming over, you cook, you prepare for them. You know, you are involved. When your husband has a certain need, a certain situation, you're there to assist, to advise, to be a loving friend, to be a a listening presence. Of course, there's a difference between living in an openness, not being personally attained by whatever is occurring, and not caring. There's a difference. See? So I'm talking about recognizing that whatever is occurring has an impersonal quality. Not it has an impersonal quality, it's completely impersonal. And as you come to that understanding, then what is becomes sweeter. Because what is made out of consciousness. And when you realize the reality of consciousness, is consciousness recognizing itself. It recognizes itself in the absence of form and in form, in the presence of form. So forms get sort of blessed by this recognition. You will find that your experiences, your relationships, your dreams, your thoughts are so much sweeter, more loving. And your night sleep will become quieter, more peaceful, void of the me. There isn't a lion chasing you in your night dream. Your night dream becomes sweeter. So don't deal with what is. Instead, pay attention to the illusory beliefs that cloud the space. Don't maintain, the me, conversation and the me impression that limits, that diminishes, that limits and binds. Just don't entertain that. Don't collapse into a person. Don't live under the limited impressions of time. You know, that compressed way. Don't limit yourself that way. Don't diminish yourself. Just let it float. Let it float. Let it dissipate. It wants to. It wants to release. And you say yes, okay. I want that too. I'm available for that. It's not that I need it. I recognize it. I recognize the love. Not the personal concerns. There is nothing happy in personal concerns. Yeah, let that go.
I am.
Let it go. Let it go. Yeah. Let it go. Okay. Okay. Gonzalo, you wrote feelings and identity with a separate self. Did you have a question about that?
Did you hear me?
Gonzalo, so yes, you're saying that even once we understand, meaning we understand that we are consciousness, the feelings of being a person continue. Is that? I think that's what you're asking. Yes, that's true. That's true. But once you understand that you are consciousness and not a woman or a man, that's a very important understanding that goes beyond the mind, Gonzalo. It is not simply at the mind level. It goes beyond that, at least a true understanding. Because an understanding has a seeing quality to it. In other words, you see not with your the eyes, but it's a seeing, consciousness seeing. In other words, you get a glimpse, you get a full view that is beyond the mind, that you are consciousness, that you are not a body-mind. And this understanding is the beginning of the journey, it's the beginning of the return home. It is the beginning of the true contemplation. It is the beginning of meditation. So meditation starts with an insight into consciousness, into the self, into truth. But, as we have shared before, and as we very well know, the separate self, the tendency to contract into a body-mind impression is not fully dissolved with this revelation. There is still a journey that follows that, which is the dissolving of the vasanas, the dissolving of the tendencies, the dissolving of the ignorance that is stored at the body level, at the feeling level. So there is still like a general sense of me in the space. Although we know that I am consciousness, there is still a sense of me. It's as if there is a light shade of gray in the space. And this sense of me is sort of like a default mode that's still there. And the sense of me gets triggered by certain situations. Like when somebody cuts you off in traffic, or you go to buy something and they give you the wrong change, they short you a couple of dollars. Or when you prepare yourself to go out with a friend and then they cancel just at the last minute, or whenever your expectations are not met. There are so many different situations that will arise that will trigger the emotions. You might see a happy couple walking together, and suddenly you feel like you're alone and lonely and lacking love. Now, it is a gift from God that these circumstances arise in your life, because what they do is they trigger out of your body mind these tendencies that still remain there. It's important for the remaining tendencies of identification that we experience in our body. It's important for them to release out of our body. So it's very important to open your body up, to open yourself up completely, so that whatever is there hidden, stored, can arise and can release out of the structure, release in the space. So whenever a situation occurs that triggers you, consider it to be a good omen, that this is an opportunity for a certain tendencies that's stored in your body to release itself. Be grateful. Be grateful for this person who cuts you off in traffic. Be grateful for that person who gives you back the wrong change at the store, at the cashier register. Be grateful, because there are opportunities for you to experience those sensations, those emotions that's still there, and to release them in the space, and to remind you that you are consciousness. Of course, on one hand, there is a me quality that arises. But this me quality is coming up, is surfacing, is arising to be released in you as consciousness. So, as much as possible, turn your attention to your sensations and release your sensations. Open your body-mind. Open up, open your belly, open your chest, open your back, open your shoulders, open your thighs, open yourself entirely. Be so infinite, so transparent, so vast, so that whatever arises in you has this entire space and can dissolve in the space. Anyways, yes, you're right, Gonzalo. The impression of me as a person continues, but in time, if your contemplation is correct, is well guided, these tendencies will diminish. They will diminish in frequency, and they will diminish in amplitude until they are but a trickle, and you will find yourself established in peace and happiness. Okay, I want to thank you very much for your lovely presence, and I'm sorry about this this thing with the audio. We'll try to figure out what happened so that we can avoid this sort of situation next time. Maybe Lee can help me. I don't know. Anyways, much love to you all, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank
Blessings.
you.
Peace.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye, Lina.
See you Saturday, Lee.
Okay.
Thank you and goodbye.
Love to you all.
Love to you.